Just a quick one before we get into this episode. If you're in the UK and you use supplements, I'd highly recommend checking out Reflex Nutrition, where they're giving up to 40% on all their range if you use the code PTRNT at checkout. I've been using Reflex for nearly a decade, with their microwave being one of my favorite whey proteins. It's grass-fed, hormone-free, and digests so well compared to most on the market. Check out their full supplement range, including all your transformation basics and plant-based alternatives on reflexnutrition.com and use the code PTRNT at checkout for up to 40% off. Today on RNT Fitness Radio, I'm joined by fellow RNT coach Ivan Gavranic to talk all about what it means to be in the reward phase, building a long-term lifestyle solution, transferable rules, and a topic which he's an expert on, advanced bodyweight training. In this episode, we're going to dive into why valuing your training is such an important piece of the puzzle for your long-term progress, and how even with minimal equipment, you can still make tremendous progress to your physique. How are things over there? You good? Safe?
Yeah, man. So last night they announced all closures of gyms, everything, just like that.
Okay. So you're on like a couple of days behind UK then?
Yeah. Well, I was sort of like predicting it. Like I was like, well, you never know when shit's going to turn, right? So I was sort of mentally preparing for what was going to happen. And I was like, man, all this bodyweight training has now come so handy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like the amount of shit the amount of force I can put on my body now with nothing is really cool.
Well, you know what? When I first wanted to record this podcast with you, I didn't really have any intention of talking much about bodyweight training, but it's almost like the perfect timing to do it.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And who better to talk about it than you, right? So
this is true. Do you know what's interesting though? Being super proactive today, like really proactive. Because we only got the news last night, so we couldn't really do anything. Like, because I was going to go to the gym this morning as per usual. So I messaged the guys who are the gym that I go to. It's a privately owned gym, which is good. So I messaged them just to see what was going on, and then like on the way there, I was just like thinking, what the fuck can I do? And I just proposed this idea to the actual director. I was like, hey, how would you feel about like renting out the equipment here for people to use while the gyms are shut? You know what I mean? And he was just like, that's what we actually were thinking about. So he literally allowed me to take like a barbell home. I've got like 3 20-kilo plates. I've got six 20-kilo plates. So worst case, I can do like 140-kilo RDLs. I've got like a little deficit block. I've got like a chin-up belt. I've got like a kettlebell. They just lent me some stuff that I could take. And I was like, thank you so much, you know?
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, man. But again, it was just being proactive though. And like, I was like, I had to get that sorted for my day before I could even start anything. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I was like, no, I need to sort this out now. So I'm all good.
But does it make much what do you train with resistance now? I thought all your training was a body weight.
Legs.
Oh, yeah, just legs.
I still do legs like because a lot of stuff that I want to be doing moving forward still requires like a lot of leg strength. Especially like sumo deadlift stuff. Sumo deadlift stuff transfers very well to splits.
Okay.
Like really, really well.
Yeah.
So just getting less strong in those sort of end ranges and whatnot. I can definitely still use the barbell. Like and it feels good to still train legs, you know. Yeah. So you can't beat it. And I've got my little sissy squat machine. I've got a sissy squat machine that you've seen on the video.
Yeah.
So I can I can still do quite a bit of legs here.
I did some sissy squats the other day, body weight, just not with the machine, just holding on to something. They are brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Mate, so brutal. I know. They're great though.
Yeah.
So underrated. And if your knees can take it, then it's brilliant.
I think if you do them when you're warm, it's usually okay. If you do it when you're warm and you get the right form in, so your glutes are pressed in and you maintain that throughout the end range as well, I think it can be a safe exercise. But it really exposed how strong your VMOs actually are.
And your patellar tendon. Have you ever tried hack squats with the bar behind you? Have you seen them before?
Yeah, that's the old school way of doing it, right?
Yeah. Have you ever tried them?
I've not, no.
They're pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they gave me like a little wedge as well, one of those. Yeah. So I was doing like little barbell hack squats with them, and I was like, fuck, man, they're actually really good, like really good. So just something different, you know, because I don't have room yet to put like a barbell on my back, but I'm thinking of getting like a power rack.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Maybe.
you may as well. Yeah.
They're
Have you
not
got
that
the space for it?
expensive.
You got the
I've
space
got
for
the
it?
space for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not then?
Room. No
Really-
one's coming in for months. I've
Yeah,
been practicing for quarantine for ages, man.
Just on the topic of leg, why don't we kick it off here then? What leg exercises can people do that are progressively more challenging? Let's say minimal equipment. So we'll even start with bodyweight. What are the bodyweight exercises for quads and posterior chain that you can start with and have progressions for?
For squats or for quads, any sort of variation of like pistol squats, that there's always a varying level of difficulty. You know what pistol squats are? Like there's the single leg squat where the leg is popped up.
Yeah.
If you can elevate yourself, like I wish I could do some like video demos, but if you got like a kitchen top table, like standing on your kitchen top table and just lowering down, you know what I mean, on one leg. So one leg will stay on the table while the other one sort of drags down, you know, and that way you can sort of scale it. So your leg, you don't have to have so much compression in the other hip to actually squat down, if that makes sense. But you know, so you can do stuff like that.
And how would you scale that back even further? Because that in itself, for most people,
on like a
kitchen table.
Yeah. If you've got like a little step or like a little cushion, like what I'm leaning my laptop on, anything that has some sort of height, you can always just use that. You can, you know, a Pelican used to do back in the day, the Pelican step ups.
Yeah.
Remember them? Like they're actually really, really good for quads. You know, if you position your foot correctly, and it just depends on how you position your torso as well. If you want to hit your quads a bit more, it's better to have the torso a bit more upright, leaning back a little bit as you go down. For people that want to actually hit their glutes a lot more, so I would probably carry over well to like walking lunges as well. How you do your lunges can target different muscles completely, right? If you take like little steps, you keep your torso nice and upright, you're going to be hitting your quads a lot harder as well. Versus if you're going to take like really, really long lunges, long steps with your torso leaning over, like really emphasizing that forward lean, you're going to hit your glutes a lot more too, you know? So even just within those two exercises, you can get some really good variation. So like one day, go for like 100 lunges, quad based, good luck with that. And then another day, go 100 lunges, like more glute based, you know? And for another little good burn, if you've done this before, would be, I think they're called drag lunges. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I've not tried these now.
Yeah. So like you would do like a little quad lunge, but you don't actually extend all the way up. So you always sort of like keeping the quads under tension as you lunge. So you're never straightening your leg completely. You're always maybe locking out 3/4 max.
Yeah, those are killer. Great. Those are killer.
Oh man, so brutal. But like when you think about it, you do not need anything to do that. All you need is just the cojones to train hard. You know, if you really want to train hard and if you really want to put your body under stress, you can do it without anything. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, my legs have been permanently sore for the last 7 days since I've been doing bodyweight. Obviously, it's just a new stimulus, right? And I've been pushing the reps up really high. So I've been doing 150 3 sets of 50 walking lunges. But the things I've been playing around with is the sissy squats, and then you can also play around with like the way you do split squats. So if you've got a Bulgarian split squat,
agreed.
If you do a 3-second tempo on a Bulgarian split squat with a pause at the bottom, and you do that for 3 sets of 20, that's going to smoke your legs. And then if you add that even more and do 1.5 reps, you go all the way down, come up halfway, go down, come up. That's because it's going to smoke your quads and glutes.
Yeah. And on that note, actually, I recommend everyone get this app on their phone to actually make tempo, to make sure you actually stick to the tempo. Have you heard of Metronome before?
No.
Metronome beats?
No, I've not heard of it, no.
So listen to this. If you play this, that's what you need to be playing. So 1, 2, 3. That's 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Have that as you do your set of Bulgarian split squats and try to aim for what? 60 seconds, right? Of just that, or actually it'd be more, 20 reps. 20 reps with a 1 second concentric, 1 second pause.
Yeah, about 1.5 minutes, that is.
Yeah, 100 seconds. Give that a shot.
Ooh, that's good. Smoke your quads.
But that would keep you honest, right? So I think if you're looking for tools to train at home, having something like that will keep you in check. I think it's a really, really good idea. So I use this a lot for handstands and whatnot to make sure I'm actually staying upside down for a while and not just falling. So tool.
Yeah, tempo is actually going to be massive in this phase of training for everyone, because now you can actually really get nasty and manipulate these tempos to get the most out of least.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone starts paying attention to it now. That'd be good.
Yeah, we're going to get people, they're not going to just be swinging around the weight. They've got to actually control their body.
They do. It'd be good. I think this is a blessing in disguise, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to get people open up to different ways of training, learning their body a lot more, and they're going to get more flexible. All these different bodyweight exercises are going to naturally improve your flexibility as well. So there's a double-edged sword from it here, definitely. What about hamstring exercises? How can people train their hamstrings with nothing?
Hamstring can be a bit of a tricky one. I obviously love Nordic curls, and you can scale them. You can scale them as much as you need to, right? If you can, this can be tricky. If you can wedge your feet into something, or what you guys did in the park the other day, that was fantastic. If you've got like a partner who's training with you, just getting someone to hold down your ankles. So one way you can do them is what you guys did, just working on the eccentrics. But another one that you can do is you do the eccentric, but you flex at the hip to make it a little bit easier for your hamstrings, right? So you can actually flex at the hip, do the same movement, and because you've shortened the lever, you can actually get out a few more reps, right? Versus just doing eccentrics. Obviously that's a bit more advanced, but you can play how long your torso is. With most of these exercises, that's how you're going to manipulate the difficulty, right? But another simple one for a lot of people, I think, it's very underrated. I think single leg hip thrusts of like an elevation, they are very, very challenging when done properly. Again, with a pause at the top, with an actual contraction in the glute, not extending for your lower back, which a lot of people do. I think that is a very, very good exercise, So, and variations of single leg hip thrusts, I think there are more possibilities than people think. So you could start off with a glute bridge, then you can start off with your back up against like a couch or something. Then you can go back on the couch and then your foot on an elevation. So now you're just continuing to extend the range of motion, right? So you just got to get creative, and you just got to understand that you can always make something harder and you can always make something easier. So those would be my two favorites, to say hamstrings and glutes. Again, what we said earlier, the walking lunges, the really, really long steps. Even just reverse lunges on the spot. It's all about what you do with your torso.
Yeah.
Very, very
just
easy.
Want to caveat the Nordic curls with a partner is probably not advised anymore. So that won't be possible for anyone. So the only recommendation would be
because they can't touch each other.
Yeah, we can't go near each other now, right? I mean, that was enforced just before all of this started.
What about if you're with a family? What about if a couple's training together?
Yeah. You just ask. Just ask someone at home to hold your hand, hold your feet down. Luckily, you don't need to put too much pressure on to actually create a training effect. But with the single leg hip thrust, I think it's one of the best exercises for posterior chain that you can do in this time. I think it's very humbling as well. So, like Ivan said,
very humbling.
You can start with a glute bridge, both feet, then go body elevated, feet elevated, body and feet elevated, and then you do the same progression with a single leg hip thrust, and you've got yourself a really good posterior chain exercise. Another one actually is you're lying on your back and you do a glute bridge, and then you walk your feet out while keeping your hips extended. So your glutes are squeezed, and as so like a Swiss ball leg curl almost.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so you've got the walkouts for hamstrings as well. They're really good. And then if you've got a band or a Swiss ball, then I think everything changes, because you get so much more variation all of a sudden. You can do things like banded leg curls. You can do banded leg extensions, add bands for resistance on your squats and your split squats, etc. So I think bands really opens it up. But I want to focus today really on predominantly body weight, just to show people how they can do pretty much everything with nothing. So we'll keep today's one to bodyweight. So we've done hamstrings there. Let's Let's move over to the upper body now. Where do
Mm.
we kick it off with? Let's start with chest, and that's probably the easiest one to do. But let's
Chest.
talk people through a push-up and proper form one push-up.
Yeah. So again, if you're push-up is another one that people vastly underrate because they don't do it properly. Now again, depends what sort of background you come from. Like if you are looking for just chest hypertrophy and whatnot, what matters most is going to be your hand position and placement in relation to your chest. A lot of people make the mistake of having the hands way too far or way too high, meaning that when they actually go for the push-up, the hand ends up near their shoulder or near their face. And that also means the elbows flare out big time, when ideally, when you go down, if you're at the top of a push-up, what you want to be thinking about, how you do a bench press, how the movement is more like a J curve, a J.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for the push-up, right? So when you're starting in that push-up position, as you go down, you actually want to think about moving your torso slightly forward so that you're at the bottom, your hands actually end up in line with your chest. Okay, now you can, depending on where you place your hands, you can make it easier or harder. If you have your hands a little bit closer in, you are going to be hitting your triceps quite a bit more. You're still going to be hitting your pecs to some extent. And then as you get wider and wider and wider, there is that sweet spot. If you record yourself, which you should be recording yourself, if you look at yourself front on while doing a push-up, then at the bottom of that push-up, your forearm should be completely vertical. Okay? That's when you know your hands are in a really, really good position width-wise. Okay? Now, if you wanted to make things harder or easier, you could, to make it harder, the more torso lean you have going forward, the harder that push-up is going to be. So the closer you can get your hands towards the hips and then push up, that's going to be far harder than if the hand was, near the shoulders, right? That's why a lot of people go to the shoulder position because it's easy, and, if you're not doing, again, most people don't do that properly because they end up just crunching their shoulders big time. Doing it the way that I sort of explained there, where you actually lean forward and as you go down, thinking about like turning your hands outwards as well. So you get that external rotation as you go down. If you do this properly, you should actually feel your mid-back really stabilize as well. You should really feel like it's on fire. Then as you go down, you tuck the elbows in, you go as low as you can, and then you push up, That's the proper way to do it. But again, it's very hard to get a lot of reps out that way.
Yeah, that sounds hard. that's probably what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, like you don't have to do them on your toes. You don't have to be a big macho person. Doesn't matter. Like go on your knees. If you want to get really good reps out, 15 to 20 reps, stay on your knees, but just keep that torso super rigid. Because another mistake that people make is that as they go down to a push-up, they bend their lower back, their hips sag. They do all these things that are not conducive to stimulating your chest as much. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, if the goal is I want to target my pecs, it's like, okay, well you need to stabilize your body first. Meaning that if your lower back, if your hips are weak or not strong enough to carry you, then you need to place them on the ground and then just do the push-ups in the way that I mentioned there. No one's going to laugh at you. No one cares if you're doing push-ups on your knees. Do them properly and you'll get much more of a stimulus than trying to do them on your toes, but with improper form.
Well, the good thing is there'll be no one around you to do them. So
exactly. So this is the time now to drop the egos and just try all these things. And because if you do them properly, much more stimulation like that as well, because we know muscle growth, it's about stimulating, not annihilating, right? It's not about how much you lift.
Yeah. And then if you've mastered the form, then you can start making things harder by elevating your feet and doing those sorts of variations where you make an incline.
So increasing the range. Yeah, for sure. But if you do, but again, you can do that, and you can also go the distance where your hands end up closer to your hips, and that's called like a pseudo planche push up. That's sort of push ups that I do because I want to be working towards a planche eventually. So, but yeah, that's like a prerequisite to that skill. So,
how far off a planche are you?
Years away. I'm not built for a planche. I'm too tall.
Really?
Yeah, that's my excuse. Yeah, straddle planche, pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, is it because of the levers?
Correct, and because of my side split is very side splitty. Like it's if I was getting like a full split and then do a straddle planche, it's not a huge lever for me, But if I was to bring my legs together, yeah, that's crazy long.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that's chest training. What about shoulders for your body weight? Is it
Shoulders.
hit by push-ups as well?
Yeah, you can definitely hit your shoulders in the horizontal plane, but you still want to be moving in the vertical plane as well, right? So, any sort of handstand push-up variations can work here. You don't have to be a Cali expert to be able to do handstand push-ups potentially up against the wall. If you do like chest to wall sort of handstand push-ups, but you find something that you can actually lower your head down to and then actually push up, because a lot of people make the mistake of either trying to do that too quickly, or they just try to do a version that's just too hard for them. So just like the push-ups, you can always scale these things back. So if you have a couch like the one behind me here, you can always just pop your feet up on the couch and try to keep your torso vertical, if that makes sense. And then you just do like a handstand push-up where you've now eliminated half your body weight, right? So you're just reducing the load and you're still working in that vertical plane. I think it's a really good exercise for people that are interested in learning a handstand as well. Just getting strong in that position, I think, could be really cool. But I think a cool one for for lateral delts or medial delts, is if you obviously the best way to train them, I think, with your home gym is going to be a band. I'm yet to find something that you can do with your body weight. It's like a lateral raise, you know what I mean? That's definitely a tough one.
You could do partner assisted. You could have someone.
That is true.
Ask your partner who you're living with, if you're living with someone, just to resist your arm.
Yeah. Or isometrics against the wall, like against the door frame, stuff like that. That can also help, you know what I mean? So I think for stuff like that, I reckon holding for like isometrics, I think that can be another interesting way to train, right? So you push your hand into the frame, as whatever you can whatever height you can get to, and just continue to push tension, more and more tension into the wall, and if you do that properly, your delts will get on fire really, really quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying it now. Against the
it's just like, because you obviously want to be working like a larger range, right? So you're always going to be limited by a certain range of motion, but I think it could be a good in-betweener, right, between sets.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's move on to back. I think that's one of the hardest ones to train with nothing. If you've got nothing at all, like literally just standing there with your body weight, I can't think of anything outside of like YTWs and those variations.
So the push-up extension, the pseudo planche one. Yeah, if you turn your hand outwards, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you turn your hands outwards, so at the bottom they're supinated. Yeah. And then you do the exact same thing in supination, right? And you also what I spoke about earlier, you think about squeezing your upper back, and you think about just moving your torso forward as you're trying to rip the floor backwards. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're trying to generate some force out of the floor as you lean your torso forward. And if you do that properly, it sort of can replicate like a bit of a row, and then you push yourself back out.
Yeah. I think
Does that make sense?
Yes. You got your palms upside down, and you're going down. Your hands are a little bit lower than normal.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Exactly right.
It's
like you're doing a row.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing a row to the hip.
You're gonna have to do this on your knees, right? For most people, because this is pretty.
Most people, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nah, you can feel it. You can feel lats like that.
Yeah. You can. Yeah, I'm sure you could actually feel your lats right now, just doing that, right?
Just doing that motion. As soon as you kind of get into, if you put your arms, if you supinate your arms, so you put your palms up.
Yeah.
You should flare your lats right in that position. Right?
Yeah. And again, just with any sort of back movement, you want to think about bringing the elbows in as you go down, right? Elbows in and around. Think about getting your left elbow to like your right hip and your right elbow to your left hip.
So for people who are training with nothing, they really need to master the push-up form in order to train their entire upper body, essentially.
For sure. Yeah. It's just it's where you direct tension. And this is where, I don't like the term too much, but I do. The mind-muscle connection and just having that kinesthetic awareness. You know what I mean? I think during this period now, I think this is where people can really start to develop that and actually start to be able to direct tension where they want. Even though I think someone that has very good body awareness and kinesthetic awareness, they can make, even though the push-up looks the same on the outside, I think they know where they can actually direct force and which muscles they can use to perform that push-up. I think that is a very, very good skill and a very good indicator of someone who understands their body quite well.
Absolutely. With our arms, what would be, so triceps, that you covered already by just bringing your hands closer during a push-up. For biceps, is there anything you can do here outside of isometrics?
You know what? That's a tricky one. But I was actually looking around my apartment as well. Funnily enough, like most people have a table, right?
Yeah, you just grab the table.
So yeah, so if you pop yourself under the table, if you're going to go for like a rope, yeah. So if you can grip the underhand of the end of the table, and instead of rowing to like instead of trying to do like a normal row, you actually just try to row to your head.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Try and bang your head.
Yeah, just don't bang your head. But and again, like you can make that harder or easier by where you put your torso. So the more vertical your torso is, the easier it's going to be. The more horizontal you are, the harder it's going to be. You know what I mean? So that's one way that I was looking at it. I've seen people online try the whole like, oh yeah, just like push one hand into your arm and just try to curl your arm. But each to their own. But
I saw one person doing isometrics against a kitchen tabletop.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one thing you can do. But I think for pure body weight, so you have got no apparatus at all. It's pretty tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say. But again, I think your arms get a good stimulation from just the push-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you are doing that supinated version, you will be getting your biceps too, right?
Yeah.
You know, but it is tricky. Yeah.
For the key for upper body with no equipment at all is going to be mastering the push-up. And really the form and the different variations that they bring.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And just how you place your hands, because if you can master that, there are many things that you can do that again that you can shift more emphasis into your biceps, more into your triceps, like that. Yeah.
What's a good challenge for the listeners here on a push-up variation that's realistic in 3 months, providing you're already lean?
I would say a good challenge would be 3 to 5 perfect pseudo planche push-ups. For sure, can be done if the form is proper. You actually record yourself, you put them up in the group, and I'll leave my comments for sure. It definitely can be done. You know, if you know what you're doing, if you have the right guidance, and as you said, if you're already lean, that definitely helps. It definitely can be done. It's just people people have to want to do it. You know what I mean? I think this is why, in my opinion, the whole like skills-based training, bodyweight training is very enticing, is because you still have to put in the prerequisites to get these skills, meaning that every exercise you do has a purpose. You know what I mean? Like, you know exactly why you're doing that, you know? But, and again, a lot of those movements are strength-based as well. So, okay, if I want to get an iron cross, I need to be able to, do some heavy pull-ups behind my head, stuff like that. I need to be able to do like Bulgarian dips, which is just like a variation of like a ring dip, where as you go down, you turn the ring out and then you push back up. So you're pushing in like external rotation, stuff like that, right? But again, I need to be able to do those things competently to eventually be able to do a cross. But having that in my mind, it just makes it very easy to do those exercises. You know what I mean? Not just mindlessly doing them because I feel like I have to. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just very structured and purposeful.
Exactly right. So I think that's knowing why you're doing a certain strength move can definitely make the whole process a lot easier, because it's serving something later on down the track. Same for muscle growth. If you're investing in an investment phase and part of that goal is I want a bigger chest, and you're visioning this massive chest, well, you have to do these exercises to get there. You know what I mean? So it works the same. But the key is your why has to be massive, whatever option you choose.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about bodyweight training here and how really with no equipment, there's still a lot you can do to train hard. So That should alleviate a lot of people's concerns. And in another podcast, we'll probably cover something about blood flow restriction training, bands,
Yeah.
light
Yeah.
dumbbells, and all those things. Because I think once you add in, if you've got a pair of light dumbbells or bands, it changes everything. Because then it's pretty much the same as a normal gym with what you can do. But for those of you who have literally only your body weight, then there's still a lot you can do, as we've discussed in the first half an hour of this podcast.
And you know what the most important thing though is you actually want to train hard. There's no way around it. If you really want to work hard, you can make yourself work hard. There's no questions asked. You know.
Let's talk about that. Why is training so important? What's the value that people should place in their training as part of their transformation checklist, both in the short term and in the long term? What is it about training that's so important?
Well, again, when it comes to training and exercise, I think the benefits are ridiculous in so many avenues. You know what I mean? I think I mentioned to you the other day that the book I was reading, Spark, that has done a lot of research on why exercise is so important. And one of the biggest takeaways I took away from that was when you put yourself under rigorous training, or when you train hard frequently and you put yourself in that very, very aroused state, you know what I mean? That sympathetic drive, the heartbeat is going hard, your focus is very narrow, et cetera, et cetera. You do that often enough, you become very good in that state. Now, what that means is when you actually, when you're in real life, not in the gym, and having to deal with like proper issues and proper stress, you're much better equipped to handle that because the physiological response is the same. Yeah. High heart rate, focus gets very, very narrow, you stress out. But because your body is used to being there a lot because you train hard, you're better able to manage that state and you're better able to use it for good. You know what I mean? So you get more comfortable in stressful scenarios. If you can put yourself through hard workouts, if you can train hard when the situation isn't ideal, you can do a lot of things outside of the gym. And this is, again, where the physical transcends into other areas of your life. If you can prove to yourself that you can push yourself and you can train hard and you can work super hard, I've met very few people who train really hard and are not successful in other areas of life. I don't know. That's a correlation I've seen pretty frequently, or when they want to.
That's a big statement. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, with training, what we often see is in a fat loss phase, people don't value their training. They see training as only a means to an end. In that it helps with keeping muscle mass. But beyond that, as long as you stick to your diet and you do your steps, you can get leaner and you can lose body weight, etc. But why is it important, even in a fat loss period, that you still value your training to set yourself up for the long term? Because the ones I see, the people that we both see who transform themselves not only in the short term, but stay in the shape of their life for life, they're the ones who value their training. They take an interest in their training. They do the videos, they track their lifts, they chase progressive overload. But where can the value be found in the short term for people?
Again, it's in my opinion, in that short term arena, you're cultivating a fantastic habit. That's, again, this is one of the keys to, as we were saying earlier, one of the keys to staying lean for life is making training just a non-negotiable. It's making something that should just be part of your day. And if you can get the benefits from training, which we all know, it's that nice endorphin hit, a really good way to start the day, or a really good way just to end the day if you prefer training in the evenings. It's always going to be a benefit. There's always going to be a positive to you learning how to train. Even if it comes to like a fat loss phase, training has also been shown to help regulate appetite a lot more effectively. People have in research shown that people who are sedentary, who do not move, are horrible at regulating their appetite, which is what causes them to overeat. People who train hard actually learn how to listen to their hunger signals a lot more effectively. And even if they weren't calorie controlled, they would pick portions that were sort of suitable for their goals. So people who train hard, people who are very, very active in general, this includes cardio, this includes steps, people who are more active in general tend to regulate their appetite a lot more efficiently as well, which is why being active even after the fat loss phase is so important. But when it comes to weight training, there is more to weight training specifically than just retaining your muscle. You know what I mean? It's a test to see even when you are in your fat loss phase, it's still testing you every week to see, are you continuing to gain strength? And strength is one of the most important factors that you don't want to be losing your strength throughout a diet. Losing your strength throughout a diet, especially towards the end of a fat loss phase, is to be a little bit expected, but not on everything. You don't want to be losing muscle mass, because that's just going to hinder your metabolism later on, all that sort of stuff. But I think the key is learning how to love training. And I think that's going to be different for everybody,
Why do you love
training? That's a good one. I personally love training just the way it makes me feel these days. I used to train back in the day for how to improve my appearance, to make me feel better, or to make me just look better, whatever. But now I train simply because it just makes me feel incredible. And it gives me so much clarity with the sort of training that I am doing now. I am chasing skills. I am using my body in a way that makes me feel very accomplished, and it makes training that much more motivating. And luckily for me, this sort of training as well also caters to the whole physical side as well. Like, you don't see many people that do a lot of gymnastics, people that do a lot of calisthenics are usually in pretty good shape all the time. You know what I mean? So that sort of lends itself there. But the reason that I love it is, it's that skill acquisition. It's that learning, I love learning through movement. I love learning through training, that's one of, like, I could literally stay in a gym for 2-3 hours easily and it would feel like 10 minutes, it's great. It's like a flow state, that's probably why it puts me in flow more than anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot this week, and for me, it just keeps me sane.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do without training. I think it really is the anchor in my day. And it's just, there's something about it that the way it makes you feel. I always train in hoodies, and most of my day I'm in a hoodie. The only time I see myself without a top on is after a shower. I'm not the guy checking myself out all the time, really, like t-shirts or anything like that. And it's just, I've done all that in the past, but
me too,
as we all have, right? But it's just now, it's just so much more than that. It's just a way of being, and it's everything that it gives you, which is why, when people were up in arms last week about not having a gym, well, it was like, and you're hearing like, I can't improve my body now, I can't get results. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It doesn't really matter the method or the vehicle of training. All that matters is you're training, and you're training in a progressive way. And that's all that matters.
Exactly.
You're training hard. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can train like you've explained yourself. There's so much you can do with just your body weight.
Yeah, when the desire is there.
That gives you the same thing. Exactly. Yeah, when the desire is there, it's very simple.
Yeah. Like, as an example, like because I think I was telling you earlier, when I found out that the gyms were closing and whatnot, the first thing I did was make sure that I had everything I needed. I literally couldn't get to work. I couldn't, my brain wasn't functioning the way it normally does, because everything was uncertain for a few hours, right? But it really showed me just how much I prioritize it and how much I value it. Because of the threat of, I'm going to take this away from you. What do you do? You know what I mean? And I got very resourceful. I found, when something means a lot to you, you get really resourceful, and you think on the fly, man. And once I got everything sorted, once I found everything I needed, I was like, yes, I'm settled. I can be good for the next few months, et cetera, et cetera. Now I can get on with my day. But it just really proved to me just how much I value that more than anything, because I know the impact it has on me mentally. And if I don't serve myself first, I can't serve anyone effectively.
Absolutely. I mean, I had something similar. And I don't think I've been thinking so much about training as much as I have in the last 2 weeks. I've been thinking so much about, normally it's just on autopilot. Like, I just turn up and I know what I'm doing. Whereas I've been thinking so much about training. I'm like, well, what am I going to do here? Going to think of new bodyweight plans. That's why I spent 3 hours writing plans for you guys to use.
Yeah, they're really good, man.
Because I was in the zone of just training. And then on the weekend, I was like, I've got that weight set from back in the day when before I even joined the gym, I had my first York barbell set. So on the weekend, I went back to my parents and I rummaged through the shed I like cleared the cobwebs, found some dead spiders, but lo and behold, 65 kilos worth of weights and dumbbells.
And were you happy?
I was so happy.
How crazy is that?
In my head, I was thinking again. I was like, bro, I got to think of a new program now. Like my decision.
Yeah.
I'm so decision fatigued out, right, from thinking about training. Like it brings back the old days when I used to just be stuck in paralysis by analysis. Like, what am I going to do, right? So I got the 65 kilos weights. I found my rings. I found a wedge for heel elevation. I found a foam roller, so I can do some like those lying leg curls. I found 3 different strengths of bands. So I found all these things I didn't even know I had. And I was like, man, oh, God, for those old days, I used to train at home.
Yeah. But I think the message there is like, how excited were you just to find these things, right? You were happy.
I loaded up the coffee, and then I was standing outside cleaning my weights. I don't like the idea of cleaning is not my thing, but I was standing outside, got the bucket out, got the cloth, got the soap, and then started scrubbing down the weights, and like because it was so dirty and dusty, I was like, "There's no way it's gonna bring it into my flat."
Man.
And it's just, now it's taken up. It's in my office now. So on one side I got my desk, and then right behind it it's just a pile of weights. You can't even move. Like that was gonna be for a sofa, but that's gonna put me on hold now because it's just weights and all sorts of equipment.
And you know what? Like even getting some of the equipment today, as I said to you earlier, it's just made me want to just make my entire apartment just a gym, and not just for quarantine, just forever. You know, that would be incredible. I was like, because imagine how much more time you would have to do everything. Like you don't have to drive, you don't have to do any transport stuff. You have everything you need in house, ready to go, like that. That's the dream.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what we're talking about here is really the concept of transferable rules and having rules that we live by. And in fact, the actual intention of this podcast at the beginning was to talk about the lifestyle solution and what a lifestyle solution means to you. Because Nathan was in Perth with you earlier this year, and he texted me just out of the blue saying, you should really chat to Ivan about his lifestyle solution because that guy is the definition of it. So, and I thought it'd be an interesting discussion to talk about what a lifestyle solution means to you. What are your personal rules that you live by on a day-to-day basis that allows you to stay in shape and allows you to stay sharp cognitively and physically? So let's open up the floor and just have a chat about what a lifestyle solution means for you and what your personal transferable rules are that you need to live by on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I think what we were discussing earlier pretty much segues very nicely into this. Training is literally, physical activity training is the cornerstone of my existence, so to speak. That may sound sad to other people, that may sound weird to other people, but it's always been the thing that I've just gotten so much value out of. Not just the physical side of things, like I'm like you, I'm always covered up anyway, always. Even in like 30-degree heat and stuff. So it's not about that at all. It's just, so my whole, even if I'm traveling or even if I'm going wherever, I need to make sure that I can move myself somewhere. You know what I mean? My worst nightmare is being stuck in a room for 24 hours straight, or not being able to move in general. Like that is my biggest fear, unfortunately. And touch wood, hopefully nothing ever happens that is the case, right? That is one thing that, I need to move. I need to be active. I love moving around. That's pretty much the cornerstone of everything. I know that if I'm in a bit of a funk, not funk, but when you've been working for a while and your brain just starts to be like, okay, things are slowing down now. Most people may go to the fridge and get a snack, right? This is one thing that I've been hearing a lot. I'm in my house, I have all these snacks and I want a snack. Okay, go for a walk, go outside. You can still go for a walk, you can still get the fresh air. That's been that's always my rule, actually. I break up my day with walks, always. You know what I mean? That's just like a non-negotiable these days. And not because of the calorie burn or whatever it is, it's because walking has so many other benefits. And a lot of great people, I know we've spoken about walking in the past, you've had podcasts about people, describing the benefits of walking. I find that always clears my mind, and I always come back in a better mood, and I'm always ready to work again. You know what I mean? I can't just go for I can't work for 6-7 hours straight. No way in hell. You know what I mean? Like I can do like an hour and a half, 2 hours of really good work. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm fading. And then I'll go for a walk and I'll come back within 40, 45 minutes and be like, oh, I'm good again. Get into another block. You know what I mean? So that's a huge cornerstone for me, just physical activity in general.
So it's essentially the identity of being someone who's active.
Yeah. But it's all, it's very automatic now. You know, like my morning routine is still this, like no matter how tired I am, no matter if I had a bad sleep or, you know, obviously the meetings for us are very long here sometimes because I'm on Perth time. So I'm 8 hours ahead. And I'll wake up pretty groggy the next morning. I'll still do what I normally do, which is, because it's been like really sunny outside, I've got like a push bike now. I'll do my cardio outside when there's no one on the road. And that 4:30, 5 a.m. time slot where there's no one around on a cycle bike is unbelievable, man, because you have no cars to worry about. You got no people to worry about. But no matter how tired I am, I'll always get up, put my little bike shorts on, put my little black shoes on and just go, you know, it's every morning, no matter how shitty I'm feeling. You know, so that's just become like a habit. And I always end up feeling better when I come back. Always, you know.
How do you set up your environment inside your house? Because one thing I was thinking about yesterday, and you just touched on it there, is that people are now quarantined inside and they're stuck inside. So they're surrounded by, for many people, they're surrounded by easy food options all the time. And the environment might not be designed to facilitate a lean lifestyle. How do you set up your personal environment to facilitate this, if there's any thought, if you've put specific thought into it?
Well, this is the thing, because this is what Nath brought up a few things like that, because he asked me questions where I didn't really know the exact answer, because those are just things that I just did. You know what I mean? Like I didn't put so much. I didn't know why. He was just like, oh, you use a lot of high volume foods. You use a lot of like variety and this and that. Like every meal is like an experience. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that. You know what I mean? I just sort of did what I did. But everything is like it's very automatic. It's very automated. But I don't know. That's a tough one. For my personal environment, it's relatively easy because I don't live with kids or with a wife or with a girlfriend. So all the food that comes into my house is the food that I plan to eat, right? So I think the first step there, as easy as it sounds, is obviously don't bring food in that is not on your plan that you don't want to eat. You know, and the whole people that off a little crude. When you say, oh, but I'm surrounded by like food that my kids eat, why are you taking your kids' food? You know what I mean? Leave that food for the kids. You know, do you really want to be the parent taking their kids' food? You know, that's the way I see it. I don't know. What do you think about that? You know, when people say, oh, I eat my kids' snacks and my snacks are all over the house and they're for the kids. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't got kids, so it's hard to say. But that being said, we have trained a lot of parents. And we've trained a lot of parents who don't eat their kids' food because they don't need to eat it. So
because they're adults.
I'm very much of that opinion as well. So. But I think, environment, I think there's something you said there about high volume foods. I think doing that without even thinking about it is something which is always going to help, because I'm assuming that means going for things like potatoes over what would be cereal, for example.
Stuff like that. And do you know what's another really simple one and probably overlooked one is meal times. Just stick to regular meal times. You know what I mean? Make those non-negotiables of your day. Let them be anchors in your day. You know, I think anchors should be your sleep-wake cycle. If you can get those two things, like if you can go to bed roughly the same time every night, if you can get up roughly the same time every morning, weekends included, you're going to set yourself up for success over the long term, 100%, because our bodies love routine. Our bodies thrive on it. You know what I mean? This is why I feel a lot of the people, the sort of hangover feeling a lot of people get on like the Monday is, even if they haven't drank or anything, is because they spend the weekend sleeping in for like 4 or 5 hours. You know what I mean? And they throw their entire rhythm off. And by the time Sunday night comes, they're very alert. You know, if they usually go to bed at say maybe 9 a.m. during the week, but then Saturday, Sunday, it's like 12, 1 a.m., and you got to get up Monday morning or 6 a.m. for work, you're going to feel like death, right? And then that cycle just continues and continues and continues. So one of my best recommendations for anyone who can do it is get up at the same time every morning, and go to bed at the same time every night. If you want to change what time you get up in the morning, what you need to be doing is you either commit to one of the two, no matter what. So I would say committing to the get up, no matter what. Even if you want to get up at 5 a.m., even if the first night you go to bed at 11 p.m., still just get up at 5 a.m. the next day, and eventually your sleep time will actually start to, or your sleep time will actually start to go backwards, meaning that night 1, it may have been 11 p.m., night 2, maybe 10, night 3, 9, etc., etc. But even if you go to bed at, say, 2 a.m., be diligent to get up at 5 a.m. and just do it and deal with it. And then eventually your body will start to feel tired at certain times. It will start to be alert at certain times. Our whole bodies are run by circadian rhythms. I'm sure you can relate to this. You have certain parts of the day where you're more just on point with everything compared to other parts.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone's got that sweet spot. Yeah. You know what I mean? So in that sweet spot where you're really good, put all your hard work in that area. I'm pretty sure you'll touch on this in the podcast with the webinar that you'll be doing later on. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're talking about there is automating a lot of decisions and just staying on a consistent routine. Your body likes routine, like you said, but I think what you also gain from a consistent sleep routine is your hunger signals are automatically regulated.
Exactly. You're hungry at the times where you normally eat your meals because your meals are also regular. You don't snack, you don't do all that sort of stuff. Snacking, in my opinion, is one of the worst behaviors anyone can ever have. If you're trying to be lean for life, you need to understand that snacking or grazing, or whatever you want to call it, is not a conducive habit to being lean. It's just not. Get that out of your mind. Set yourself to have 3 to 5 solid meals throughout the day. No snacking, no grazing, because that just leads to a slippery slope. Always. The most successful dieters that I know do what we do. They stick to regular meal schedules. They know what time they're eating, this and that. There is no snacking between meals. They don't use food to get rid of boredom. They don't use food because something bad happened at work. That doesn't fix anything, right? You know what I mean? Your issue is still going to be there once you've stopped down. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, food. Yeah. If you're eating out of boredom, why are you bored at that point? That's the question you got to ask. What are you doing that's actually boring? How can you change that?
Yeah. It's like, I'm bored, I'm going to snack. Why? I'm sure there are more entertaining things that you can do. What's that snack going to do for you? It may temporarily feel good, and then what?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on catching up on sleep?
Over the weekend?
Yeah.
Again, like I think it's better than nothing. I don't think you can catch up on like lost sleep, so to speak, but yeah, I would just start looking at your Friday night behaviors and Saturday night behaviors. Like, don't try to sleep in, just try to go to bed earlier. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand people will be like, oh, but I want to go out, I want to do this, I want to meet people. Like, that's cool, but you can still do those things. People limit themselves and they think, oh, I have to go out to a nightclub to meet someone, or I have to do this to meet someone, or I have to go out to like 2 a.m. to date. And I don't think you do, but that's neither here or there.
So that's the cornerstone of a lifestyle solution then. Rules, environment, routine, decisions. And it's also the same as the reward phase checklist that we talked about in the book. So I'm just going to read some of that and see if you have any comments on them. So number 1 is your precursors and non-negotiables are all installed.
Yep.
Your day-to-day menial decisions are all automated.
Yep.
You know the processes and stages required to reach a new checkpoint. You've got strong meal hygiene in all environments.
Yep.
You're a master of handling social situations.
Yep.
You're attuned to what you want at all times. I think that's a big one. It's something you definitely live by. You can travel and return. You can travel on holiday and return with the same body composition.
Yep.
You consistently create accountability through different levels.
Yep.
You're performance oriented versus looking only at aesthetics, and
Yep.
you're able to auto-regulate your feedback from your body effectively.
Yeah. Biofeedback. Correct.
Which
That's
one
very
of those
important.
would you say is the most applicable for you? That the biggest one that moves the needle forward?
That's a tough one. The focus on performance.
Yeah,
To be
I
fair.
really do think so as well.
Yeah.
It really does cascade, right? There's something about if
Yeah.
you focus on performance, everything else you do in your life falls in line with it.
Because it has to, right? Like you can't have good performance with shitty meal hygiene or with a shitty sleep schedule. Yeah, you can't have good performance if your day isn't thought about or structured. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think if that is your cornerstone, everything else just follows suit. You know, you don't have to think about each individual piece. You just, I'm a high performer, therefore I do X, Y, Z. You know?
Love that. To finish up on this podcast, let's just circle back to the beginning and go back to some of the bodyweight advice. What advice do people need to pay attention to with regards to injury prevention with bodyweight training? So I think that can be sometimes something people don't pay attention to because they think it's body weight, so they don't need to worry about it. What are some injury prevention tips you can give, and potentially also flexibility recommendations?
Injury prevention, that is a tricky topic. Like I don't think anything ever prevents injury. Yeah, I think you can always like minimize the risk of injury, so to speak. I think one thing that I see a lot is people correlate all soreness to just being good. I don't know if that's something that you see.
What was that? Correlate which one?
They correlate like being sore with a good workout.
Yeah.
But they don't. But they so cool. Where are you sore? Oh, my knees and my hips and my spine. I'm like, well, that's not good. You don't want to. You never want to be training through like joint soreness, if that makes sense. Like you should always go for you should always feel like a bit of a muscular burn in the target muscles. That's really good. That's a really good sign that you're actually stimulating the muscle. But you should never feel pain in the joints when you're doing something. You know what I mean? Like you should never, if you're doing a squat and all you can feel is like your femur jamming into your hip, you're probably doing the squat incorrectly, or you're not doing the squat correctly for your body type, so to speak. But yeah, when it comes to like injury prevention sort of stuff, I think just simple principles. Working. A good one would be working the external rotators of the shoulder, working the rear delts, working the upper back. I've never seen anyone who does too much external rotation work or too much upper back work. So just like with any sort of strength training principles, I have a pretty good bias. I have a big bias towards training those muscles that get neglected a lot. You know what I mean? So I think a good way to maybe prevent injury or to minimize the risk is like if you're doing a set of push-ups, I would superset them with some like band pull aparts, or I would superset them with some like external rotation drills for the shoulders, stuff like that. For flexibility stuff, this is what I harp on about a lot, is the flexibility will always come down to strength in ranges strength in end ranges. That's what flexibility is. So if you don't have strength in a certain range of motion, you that's where you run the risk of hurting yourself. You know what I mean? So if you can get strong in all planes through ability, through strengthening at end ranges, then you're going to be your joints are going to be pretty good. Like touch wood, I've been doing some crazy shit with my hips at the moment, and they've they can take a lot because I've put in the time, obviously, to develop strength in those positions, not just sort of get there for a second or two.
One thing I want to mention there is that with bodyweight training, you still want to warm up like you would normally. You still want to pay attention to form. I think with a lot of the reason why I mentioned that is, you see a lot of these generic videos, workout videos, home workout videos, and loads of people get injured doing them because form goes out the window, and it becomes like a metabolic circuit, and it just becomes a circus show rather than actually a progressive strength training session. And that's what we need to be focusing on here, is that it's progressive and it's strength building and not just burning calories and working up a sweat.
Yeah, for sure. And just for anyone listening, you're just not burning that much calories even when you are jumping around like that. So just letting you know that now.
What you're going to do by jumping up and down is hurt your knees. The amount of time
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Any parting advice on bodyweight training or anything you've spoken about today?
Yeah. Don't think that you're limited because you're at home. Do not think you're limited at home. This is a fantastic time for you to actually start to develop your mind to muscle connection and understand that this is going to pave the way for you when your gyms do come back to really, really maximize your efforts in there. Okay. Use this time not only to train hard, but to actually get to know your body, understand your body, know how to actually contract each muscle group, because now is the perfect time. Okay. You do this now, use this as like your primer phase for when you actually go back into the gym later on. Okay. There is no reason that you cannot try hard. There is no reason that you still can't get results. There is no reason you can't still hold on to muscle mass, as yourself, Mullah, has put up in the group numerous times, which have been fantastic. What matters is the intensity and the desire. If you can do those, if you can hit those two things, you're not gonna regress. And from what I've seen, just anecdotally, I don't know if you've seen the same thing. The clients who are emailing, coming up with solutions and not playing the victim, they are being very, very proactive in their approach. They are the ones who are getting fantastic results, even throughout this corona virus. They're still sending their check-ins in. We're like, yeah, dropped 1% across the week, easy. Just did this, just did this, just did this. They found solutions to their problems. They didn't play victim to their problems. They didn't say, because I was at home all day, I had to snack. No. You're at home all day, meaning you have more time to prep your food and you have more time to train when you want to. You know what I mean? That has been the difference from what I've seen. So that's my parting advice.
Amazing. Thanks, Ivan.
No worries, man. Easy.
Thank you so much for being here today on this episode of RNT Fitness Radio. I'd love for you to do a quick little favor for us. Please head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment, and share it with your family and friends. If you're interested in learning more about how to transform your body and positively change your life, go to www.rntfitness.com and explore all our free content on offer. Thank you.